we left off is with adding this door over here. We copied from door, we pressed Alt and dragged it, and we brought it here. We also created a reference to it, our level blueprint. Now, let's begin doing something with this door. And by doing something, I mean basically rotate it to make it open. How I did this was by selecting the door, pressing E, and as we can see, it changed to the rotator. With pressing R, it changes to the scale gizmo, and W brings the moving gear. We can also see the selections up here. What we need to do, move this door, basically rotate it. And this is a static mesh actor. The actor being the keyword. Why is that? Because, as we said in blueprints, we have some pre-scripted behavior. If I pull a cable from our reference of the door, and ask for actor, what we want to change is the rotation. So, rotation. You can see we get a few options about rotation. Get the actor rotation, we can set the actor rotation, we can set the relative location and rotation. We're going to talk about relative and the difference between relative and world in a later lesson, but right now we're going to just use the set actor rotation, which is a world rotation. I'm going to choose this node of set actor rotation. Now, this node has an execution, and for output, a return value which is red. Red is a boolean, we're going to talk about it later. A rotation input and a teleport physics boolean. You can see things are color coded, and this brings us to a new subject. What are variables? Variables are like little blank cells of information. What type of information is the variable type? We left the my blueprint not explained. So, what does my blueprint host? My blueprint contains information about our code. As you can see, it shows you elements that belong to the blueprint, variables, graphs, etc. Here we have the category graphs. If we go to test, go to graphs, you can see there's already some events, this gray out event for us. If I double click on this, I can be led to every event. So if an event exists in our graph, we can navigate directly to it from here. We can also create new graphs to things like, for example, this would be the shooting graph or the movement graph or any other graph we wanted. So we could have different graphs with different events, but I cannot have the same event both graphs. Right click and bring the begin play event. I can bring it here and I can have it here also. It will not work though. I drag from here and type print string, which is a node that prints just a string, and connect it here and also connect it to the other graph. If I try to compile, you'll see I'll get an error, found more than one function with the same name. We cannot have the same event in both graphs. They need to have a different name. We actually don't need the blueprint test, but nice to show things. The next thing we need to see is function category. What are functions? Well, in short, they are reusable blocks of coding, reusable blocks of logic that can have return outputs, inputs, and can be called multiple times from different places, your blueprint, from other blueprints. They're ideal for performing specific reusable tasks. They have some specific rules, though. Function must complete the logic before returning. They have to complete whatever is happening in here before they have an output. For example, if I click here for outputs, I want to get this value, whatever is happening inside here has to finish or this continues to run. For example, if I bring this function over here and I connect it here, this will have to finish its operations or the code continues to the next one. The next category is macros that we won't be needing in tutorial, so we won't bother with them. It's kind of like functions, which, as I said, kind of like functions but more versatile. Like they can have multiple multiple execution inputs, and that brings us to the point of execution. As you saw before, I connected this cable to here. When I talked about the set actor rotation, I said that there is an execution input here and an execution output. These executions need to be connected for our code to run. This wouldn't run because this is empty. And as you can see, events like begin play have only one execution output. It can be considered like a do something. Do something in begin play. Do something on tick that we saw here. Do something on actor begin overlap. We also have custom events that we can create on our own and call them in our code. For now, we need move our door with our set actor rotation. So our door rotation, let's go details at minus 90. Round this up from 89.999 to minus 90. Let's say that when we begin play, let's delete the function. Let's say we want the door to go 0. So now if I press play, the door is not 0. And when I press stop, I can see the reason why in error message log, which is mobility of door not set to movable. So I'm going to click on the door here on its details. I'm going to go to mobility and choose movable. So now if I press play, the door is open. I think this is it for this one. I'm going to continue on the next. Bye.